Welcome back, everyone. LanceScurv here. I had some interesting conversations today, which has been very laid back for me and very introspective and very cerebral. And one of the premier conversations that I had was speaking to someone who is in the creative fields. I won't say which one, because when we talk across the board, right? And one of the things that came up that I'll say we saw in a chat, like a thread where they have threads and people discuss things, is about Black filmmakers, Black artists, Black creatives. How many of people who would be categorized under this umbrella don't get the same attention from other races, but the stuff they put out is good. Now, I'm not talking about trashy, stereotypical stuff, right? Because I believe that within this engineered Black culture, we have been pushed into such a narrow slice of what we are taught is acceptable. And when I say taught, this started many decades back. And using hip hop music as an example, where they started to push gangster rap, Black women shaking their backsides, the whole disrespecting Black women, just disrespectful, wanting to be a thug. And they put these things up in front of our young children, and some damn near grown men. And we wanted to emulate that because we saw that broadcast constantly. And I think that with the movie industry and with other people running the movie industry, film, they would only allow those who agreed with the type of content that should go out there. Of course, we have the Denzel Washingtons, the people who go above and beyond. And he's so powerful now, he pretty much decides, you see. But not everybody has that option. And if you want to break into that field, speaking about film, you better jump and tap dance to the dictates of somebody else who doesn't look like you. So now, if we're perceived as having this narrow slice of interests, which are decadent. Now, we're not decadent as a people, but what's put out there to the world affects how other people see us. And they may not have interest in anything we put out because they assume that that's what it's going to be. I'm not just going to say gangster rap, but just stuff that can't relate as a human being. And so one of my replies in that discussion was that we shouldn't even concern ourselves with what people think, that we don't need to be within this. Let me just check, make sure my sound is right. Yeah, that's pretty good. We don't need to be concerned about what those other people put out about us. Let's just be ourselves at the fullest range of humanity. Because there are good films out there that have been put out by us. They're all good. But this whole Tyler Perry dynamic, right? I'm just going to say it by name. And others who have put out stuff that's basically trash. It may be entertaining, but it's trash. You can eat a hamburger full of beef and fatty, lots of mayonnaise, lots of salt, but it's going to clog your arteries. It's entertaining to the taste bud, but to the body, it's trash. But from what I'm hearing, there's some great people who are filmmakers out here, but they will not get financed. They won't get the funding to do something or have it pushed out there because maybe it's too good, maybe it's too... See, we're still controlled in many ways. There are a lot of talented people out there. All I'm saying is that I think we should focus on just putting out good work and not falling into the trap of that narrow funnel that is offered to us, right? I'll compare it to the music industry. From what I see as an outsider, because I'm not an expert, as most people I guess here are not, but you know what you see. I remember back in the good old days, I was born in '63, but there was music playing in my house from the 40s and the 50s, right? Up on the 60s. I remember music because it came from a musical household. So good music was always being played. And it wasn't a set slot for each type of singer. We're talking black music now. You had many female groups. You had many female soloists, many male soloists. It wasn't where it was this template, this ready-made template where in this business there can only be this girl group or woman group and only could be this, or the male group where you have 4 or 5 males, you have one lead and they do the little dance on the stage, whatever. You had so many of them. But when it became pasteurized and homogenized and reduced and heated up and it's like the music business now is that, okay, we're gonna put this out. If this doesn't do good numbers at first, we push it out on to the next one. And how dirty that business is, as I found out how dirty film, the film industry is. It's dirty too. Because they have the power to stop certain things and they have the power to give the green light and the financing and all of that stuff. If they want you out there, they'll put you out there. If you promise to follow through being a coon or somebody who is decadent and not going to represent your race properly, you pretty much not going to make it. And it's always the same ones. Okay, back to the music industry. Beyonce. I'm not necessarily a fan of hers. I don't hate her, but the music industry can't be that blind where for the last 20-something plus years that she's the only top woman. Why is that? We have so many black women who have phenomenal voices and talents. Why is it just that, and I'm not saying it's only her, we have others, but she has been at that point. That is not by chance. That is not because of just talent. Because there are a lot of people who feel she's not as talented as other people. I'm not going to get into that. But why is it that it's these ready-made slots? And truly creative people in their area of expertise may feel as though they're not getting a fair shot. And it's evident that they're not. There's so many that are buried. We have the casting couch. I'm not going to get into conspiracies, but we know that that's true. I know people who a lot of information comes my way. And it's true. I'm not going to get into the whole Illuminati thing, whatever, but there's certain things you got to do when you get to a certain point. Dave Chappelle pointed that out. And I don't think it just ended with a dress, right? But if we just forget those narrow categories and show us being human on a fullest range, I believe a wider range of audiences will come to see our creations. But I do believe that many others shy away from observing or partaking in what we create as artists, whether it's paintings, drawings, singing, dancing, or whatever, because they may feel that they're walking on eggshells. Because this strong black thing, and I'm not saying to reduce yourself now, be who you are. Be who you are. All you have to do is be who you are and you'll be accepted. We're not looking for acceptance, like, please like me, Black Lives Matter, it matters, just accept me. No, I don't mean it from that mindset. But do your own thing regardless and shine to the fullest majesty of your abilities and who you are on the inside. And speak your truth. When it comes to issues that out in the world is real, speak your truth. Look at Dave Chappelle. Look at Paul Mooney. Rest in power. But look at Dave Chappelle. Very intelligent black man who has a ability to be funny with reality, but he's saying it like it is. That's why, look, whenever you laugh at a joke, I'm gonna say it this way. I learned this a long time ago. This is why if I tell a joke or say something funny, it's rooted and based and it bites on reality. There's an old friend of mine, Brother Barron. I don't remember him saying that, but he was telling another friend of mine. He says, yeah, Lance is so funny because his jokes bite on reality. I remember the word bite, so I'm using that to honor you, Brother Barron, if you ever see this video, right? But Dave Chappelle, he makes you laugh because, see, when he says a joke and it hits home, it's funny because you go in your mind and you say, yeah, this is the way it is. But he says things that maybe most people don't want to say, or he connects dots that people have not yet connected, right? So that's what makes it funny, because he will tell things. Paul Mooney, half of the time, of course, there was a lot of black people in his audience, but there were a lot of white people in his audience. And you know, Paul Mooney, his thing was race and the racism in America, what he's been through. And he found a way to make all these situations that he's been through, and the way he spins it, it was funny, but it bit on reality. Because most of the time people are like, yes, you're saying it, Paul. He articulated it in a way that I'm not going to say nobody else couldn't, but it was done so brilliantly that it struck you a certain way. Right? Like a fighter who is well trained, when he throws a jab, it snaps right in your face, hits your head back. Precision. Where a ballroom brawl with two drunk guys, they swing, and if they miss, they hit the ground. There's no skill there. He had that skill, but he had the experience in life growing up in America at that time, and especially in that industry, and he didn't give a damn. He would just say it. Be in that place where you're expressing yourself full range. That's beautiful. Everybody will be intrigued when you don't hold back, or when you feel, well, I can't say this because it's going to offend this person, or what. Be yourself. Be yourself. But if you are yourself and don't focus on just one area as much, and you share your life or your craft in the whole human experience, people will gravitate because they'll see, oh, okay, I see the truth in this. And if they can't see the truth when we get on the Black experience, it's the job of the artist, the actor, the singer, the dancer, the performer, the comedian, that where they end in their consciousness, in our situation, those are teachable moments. So we gotta, I'm not saying hold the hand of the enemy or hold the hand, but make it where they understand where you're coming from. Instead of exploding out and there's a gap where there's no connect. That's what made Paul Mooney so fascinating, because he made you see where he was coming from. Dave Chappelle, he made you see where he was coming from. Even Richard Pryor. And he spoke about things where he was funny, but he made himself vulnerable in a way that you can identify. You didn't know what he was coming out with. You don't know what he was going to say. Because he would speak on levels so basic and so human sometimes. It was yeah, that happened to me, but I'm not going to talk about that. Imagine Richard Pryor around today. You know what I mean? He would say some things, you know. I'm not even going to try to make something up. I might go too off the deep end. But we know how Richard Pryor was. But as creators, there should be no boundaries, no matter who we are. And I think if we move that way, that more people will gravitate toward us, because most of the time, behind many great movies, many great areas of art, we're in there, even when people don't know it. And we don't get the acknowledgement, and really we shouldn't be looking fought from these award shows who pick and choose. I'm not even saying have our own award shows, because there are people within those worlds that will cut your throat just the same as somebody else will. We have a lot of opposition from other Black people in the creative worlds, and that's something I know for a fact from the people that I talk to. Be yourself, and don't look for validation from any of these people. Just put out good work consistently. If you put out good work, you'll win. It's the same thing now. On social media, we know that AI is running YouTube with no question, no doubt. It's official. You have human monitors that you can contact them if you have an issue or a question. And I've seen many instances where these monitors were at a loss where they couldn't answer a question, because AI made the decision to do this to somebody's channel or remove this or alter that. They let it have free reign. And the thing right now, not to get too technical or get too boring, but the AI slop that people are putting up with these robot-like voices, and they're saying names wrong. Like if they say my full name, LanceScurvin, they might say LanceScurvin. It's pronounced wrong. It's not a real person. It may sound like that. They're getting better. But there's so much of that now. YouTube is taking those things down because YouTube pretty much wants engagement with real people. And they're pushing that more. They want to see that you're putting your face out there. They want to see that you're original. You see, in a lot of these AI channels, you have people that have programs that can push out 20 and 25 and 50 and 100 videos a day, similar, right? Through these programs. And they look alike, they sound alike. It may be 100 videos pushed out on the same subject, but a slightly different way. And they were making tons of money. So what human creator can keep up with that? I can't push out 100 videos a day. You know what I mean? So I'm not fighting that. I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to be that guy that you see on the bus stop, that you see in the supermarket checkout line, where we're having a few words. I'm going back to the original, because the way they've done things now, you can't compete with that. But AI can't compete with me being human. They can replicate something that's looking more and more real, but people want the real human vibration. And that's what we have to get back to. We lost that. I know a young lady that I was talking to earlier today, but the other day we spoke on, and I won't put her business out there per se, but she noticed how we're not reacting with each other. People are down in their phones. And wherever she goes, because she does many things for the community, dealing with people and stuff and volunteering, a phenomenal human being, right? When she goes into a room and strikes up a conversation with somebody, and they seem to be a little timid because they're not used to this, they relax and it seems like they feel good, like, wow, I'm really relating to somebody. And then maybe somebody else. And then after a while, the whole area, I don't want to reveal like what she does on her free time, but they all start to respond like they were dead, like they were like plants that weren't watered for a while, and they were drying up and shriveling up. And her presence, being so human and understanding human nature, you water these plants and get some sun, and the plants begin to blossom and grow. Even actual plants, when you talk to them and you take care of them, they relate to the energy that we have as humans, right? Just like we give them carbon dioxide and they give us oxygen. It's relating. And I see many people out here in the world today, they're drying up. The phone is drying them up. It's pulling their energy, pulling their focus that we need to give to each other to keep us up and alive and joyous, because isolation from each other is something that can kill. Now, I'm not saying go buddy up with people who hate you or don't like you or whatever have you, but there's enough people in the world that you can connect with on a human level and relate. And thank the Creator, I have so much of that out here in Ghana. Independent, you see. Like tomorrow, or actually Monday, if I do happen to step out, every time I go to this particular area, there's an electric shop where they sell different electric materials and supplies. There's 2 guys there. I always go and I talk with them. You know, I went and bought some light bulbs from them one time. We started talking. So every time I go by there, I'm like, hey, you know, so if I'm in a rush, I may shake their hands, talk for 90 seconds, say, listen, I got to get back home. But if I have time, they'll pull up a chair and we'll sit. And you know, that's beautiful. So now I don't feel, not that I ever felt isolated, because I know how to turn it on and connect with people, but to have places like that you can check on people, they'll check on you, they'll text you. Say, hey, remember me, Lance? I'm the young lady from the supermarket. You told that joke and made everybody laugh and we exchanged numbers. How you been? I'm just checking on you. All over the place. And I check on people. Being human. Being human in the age of AI is the bomb. Because AI can't replicate the energy that we have. This is why, for years, on YouTube and on other social media platforms, they'd make a little announcement. Check this box if you'll allow AI to learn from your video. So all they're doing is listening how you talk, how you relate, your facial expressions, because now we have some AI stuff, especially on Facebook, where we have these reels, they have the little short stories, and they look real, more than ever before. Like, I can still tell, but they're getting so close now. What is it going to be like in the next 2 or 3 years? Not even 15 years. The next 2 or 3 years, it's looking so real. I don't know if you saw this little series. I think it's on Facebook, and they have different pages. It's always in a church. You have the pastor, and you have some woman with this bright red or bright orange or bright yellow micro mini skirt, and she's built wham bam. And she just can't take it no more. Tell the congregation, pastor, that you've been seeing me for the last 6 months and I'm about to have your baby and we got to come out with the shock effect. But what I'm saying is that they're taking human issues or things that have happened and they're putting it out there and it holds you, right? So we got to get more human stuff out there. We have to be more ourselves. We don't have to try to compete with any program or artificial intelligence, which I don't think it should be called that. I saw a young lady on a video. She was saying, no, it's not artificial intelligence. It's alien intelligence. And I believe so. Because how do you replicate humans and get better so fast and have the answers so fast? And, you know, it can move faster than the human brain on certain things, but it had to be programmed. So we're giving our life force to this stuff, right? But we don't need to do that. We need to vibrate with each other. Pay that stuff no mind. Yes, we will use it to correct certain things or correct the article and punctuation and stuff. But other than that, giving up our souls to this thing, you know, and then we're giving it attention, right? But yeah, there's just a couple random things I want to talk about. The other thing that I want to talk about is, because I spoke on a few things today. So I just want to, because it's getting late and I want to get this up before I go to bed. Relationships and dating and all of that stuff. We have a lot of issues these days. And I know this one young lady in particular, she wants a marriage. She wants a good man. She is what you'd call a throwback. May I say old-fashioned? Meaning that she wants a husband. She wants children. She wants a committed relationship. She wants to love and to give love, and she's very nurturing in her personality, very loving. You can see it in the interactions with her family. They're all loving. And she doesn't want to play this game where she's going through different men. If the man makes around the same or a little more, she's not against that, but she is extremely motivated. Believe me when I tell you, extremely motivated, and she has laser focus and a vision and has accomplished so much, I would say, as far as elevating her pedigree in the different areas of expertise that she's in. And as they come, she's smashing them down. Boom, boom, boom. I learned this for the next few months, and I'm getting this certification. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And really, the sky's no limit for her. And they don't make young ladies like that too much anymore. And we were speaking about the club. She says, I've never seen a reason to go to these clubs. Some women, they go to this club and go here and go there. She says, no, I'm studying, I'm trying to uplift myself, but it is so challenging to find a good man who wants to settle down. So now I'd like to hear from the ladies here and some of the men in the comment section about that particular topic. There are a lot of good women out here. I'm not saying she's the only one, but since I talk to her on a regular basis and almost every day, I will say just that, what it is. And she shares with me her dilemmas, because when lots of men see how ambitious she is, many times they want to latch on to her, and it's like they want to use her. And several times she's found that out without it going too far. But we need to really work on ourselves and prepare ourselves, because if not, we're just going to leapfrog from one situationship to the next situationship to the next situationship. You're going to be 30, 35, 47, 52, 64, whatever. And you'll be like, what happened? What happened with the time? What happened to wanting to build with somebody? Even if you both are starting somewhat at the bottom or the beginning of your dreams, but you're very serious about this commitment to your life, your own life, and to the person you're building with. But it's so fast that we want to sample each other's genitalia without even knowing what's in the person's head, because the shape of their body or the length of their organ or how good they can lick you or whatever have you. That seems to have more weight these days. I'm not just going to blame the younger folks, but it's evident there. And again, we go back to the music and what's put out there, and we follow those things. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but the prophecy was made by someone else, but we're fulfilling it right now. And we're not getting any younger. I know people who are grown now, who were kids just a few years ago, and they are really jacking their lives up by certain wayward activities. You're making all of these babies, and I know a young lady who every child she has is a different baby daddy. But she feels on top of the world with this illusionary self-confidence, and I'm making it on my own. But without that Joe Biden money, without that government money behind you, you ain't doing nothing. We all have these things in our head, but we quickly realize after a time, reality is going to hit you. And the same with the fellas. Always looking for a hospice wife. I call it that, and I have a shirt that I don't become a hospice wife, right? You run around with all these women and find yourself in old age, your organs not working no more, you got aches and pains and health concerns, and now you want to find somebody to settle down with. No, you don't want to find somebody to settle down with. You could have found somebody to settle down with. Lots of times you broke the heart or hearts of many women who were good women, but you wanted to play the field. You wanted to be out there. Now you're getting old and you want to settle down only because you want somebody to be there with you with your old broken down ass and to take care of you and give you the medication and just sit there and be with you after you ran yourself silly, when you could have given the best of yourself to one woman, right? And things happen. People pass away. Things happen. Divorces happen for legitimate reasons, and lots of times because we didn't really do a deep dive on knowing who the person is, or they lied to us about who they were and it slowly came out and you didn't sign up for that. I understand that. But even with a man or a woman, let's just pick the man because the man is really known for out there playing the field, but there are a lot of married women and women out here doing the same thing, believe you me. I know that for a fact. But if you were a good man and you raised your family with your wife and you did everything basically right, and she passes away, it's still documented Now you're older, but there are other women out there who are good women who see that you're a good man and you did right by your family, and they know that you're a just man of high character and pedigree. They don't mind connecting with you. But if you have no past that's verifiable, right? And you just Joe Blow who just wants to sail into this woman's life, it ain't gonna work. Now let's deal with the women. There are a lot of women out here, look, they say, oh, men are dogs, but there's a lot of women out here who are kitty cats that appear to be upstanding, that they're married, and she would never do that. Trust me, there's a lot of them out there. A lot of them out there. And a lot of them out there who will oftentimes have a child for the man they're messing with, and that child is not the husband's child. You still have these things going on. And this wastes time. This causes heartbreak, heartache, nervous breakdowns, prison sentences. When you flip out, when you find out something that you should have found out a long time ago, and all these years, we see it on Facebook. Little cartoons, little AI skits. You mean to tell me I've been taking care of this little boy for the last 5 years and it's not even mine, and you knew that? That's so just like that. Well, he loves you, isn't it? We put ourselves in a lot of bad situations. And men, yes, we do. We can't control ourselves. And I was explaining to a young lady, and she asked me, she said, are women that irresistible? I said, pretty much, yes, but you have to have control. It's very much an intoxicant. And the women out here who are trying to get things from men and use them, they know this. The power of a woman, never underestimate it. But if you're using that power for something that's not righteous, it's no good. But you still got power, right? The thief or the gunman, he has that gun power, but the police officer does too. The police officer in a perfect world is supposed to be there to protect you and uphold the law. The man with the gun who is looking to rob somebody, shoot somebody, it's the same gun, but a different intention, a different heart. So we need to use our powers for good. Women, you're powerful. You get a good man, you're powerful, not just because of the sexual energy, but when you equate that in on top of all of the righteous principles of being a dutiful wife, a faithful wife, one who's motivated, one who has vision, one who loves the children and takes care of the children, you can have your career. You both can build something together. What happened to building something together? Don't you know a righteous relationship is synergistic? Meaning that it's two people, but the combined energies, commitment of two people is the effect of, let me just snatch a number out this guy, like 25 people, like 50 people. When two people come together, and we ain't just talking about in the bedroom, I'm talking about come together in life. And you're committed to each other, you say, okay, let's build this. We're gonna have our family, we're gonna do this, and it's such a good feeling. And it's just like I was explaining, and I got pretty graphic, not nasty graphic, but the type of celebration, bedroom celebrations that a righteous couple can have is much higher than the cheap, as they say it in the street, a cheap nut. Because your spirit is stirred, your emotions are stirred. You as a man, you're looking at this woman, whichever positioning you're in, wrapped around each other like a pretzel, whatever it may be. But it's a spiritual aspect to it because you know you might possibly create a child. And you're feeling the physical sensations, which doesn't end there. It continues to the spiritual sensations, the emotional sensations, the mental realization, this woman is mine. Not like property, like get on in this house, when you mine, I own you. Not like that, but she's given herself to you. And you're doing right by her. You're protecting her. You're loving her. You're putting her before everybody else. In the street, they'll say, oh man, you a simp. But simps don't get women who are dedicated back to them. When you're a real man, you will get that. But we don't have manhood training now. Manhood training is what we see on the videos. Manhood training is what we see in the street. And a lot of us as young men, we had to depend on the bits and pieces that we got from different sources. It used to be when we had more real men, they didn't have to be a president, they didn't have to be a millionaire, but a man who worked his job, came home, took care of his family, and would take some time with the neighborhood youngsters if they came around, chat with them, and stimulate them in a way where they have a gauge now. That as they get older, they may have a problem with a girlfriend or whatever, and maybe the father passed away, but he can ask the uncle or the man down the block, the mailman, whoever. We had more of that. What do you think it is that makes a man fly home? The loving, and I'm talking about on all levels now, the feeling of that base in home, and your wife, your woman is there, and food's cooking, there's things going on, the kids are there, and they come to the door, Daddy! Nothing beats that. Right? Nothing beats that. But both, I don't know how I even got on this, I'm just flowing. But both the man and the woman have to know themselves. They have to be mature enough with themselves and know themselves, know what they want. Don't fake it and just say it because it sounds good on paper. But you gotta be ready for this. Are you ready for this? Can you do this? If you can't, if there's 1% doubt, don't do it. Don't do it because you're wasting your time. It only takes a little crack in the dam for a little water to come through, and eventually it pushes out and makes the whole dam fall. You don't want that, because the scars that you'll leave on your heart, on your mate's heart, on the children's hearts, and sometimes it's unavoidable. I understand that. Different situations are different. I understand that. But build yourself up first. Don't jump so fast into another relationship because you don't want to be alone. Being alone is the best thing for you because you can rebuild yourself into a better version of yourself. So when it's time for the next relationship, it might be 3 years, it might be 6 months, it might be whatever, but you become a better version of yourself and you heighten your sense of who to let in your life. You know something? Even if it's 10 years, hold yourself. Because when the real thing comes, you know it. And if it takes 10 years, it'll be sweeter the longer you wait, because you'll be better and that person will be better, right? Isn't this something? You're coming home. You might not be driving. Maybe you are driving. And you're driving home and you got to pee real bad. Let's just say it that way. And you held it the whole way down on the highway, coming down the streets at the red lights and everything like that. But as soon as you get to the front door, oh my God, it feels like it's coming out. See, after you finish, you're not thinking about that desperation moment anymore. If you feel lonely, that's a call for you to work on yourself. Because when you work on yourself and make yourself a better, more attractive version of yourself, I don't mean just attractive physically, sure, keep yourself up, but you'll be more received well by that man who waited for you and appreciated you. And those things take time. It takes time. It takes time to develop. It takes time to grow. It takes time to learn yourself. You are your own inner verse. We talk about how vast the universe is, but you, little old me, we're vast on the inside, believe it or not. There's so many parts to us that even in the lifetime that we have, even if we live to 1,000 years, it wouldn't be enough time to learn ourselves completely. How many times have you said to yourself, I would never do that. I would never eat that food. I would never. And then the minute you do it, nothing out of desperation, just something that you said you wouldn't do. The minute that you did it, you remind yourself, you think, oh, I remember back in the day, I said I wouldn't eat sushi. Now I'm eating sushi. I hated sushi back in the day. But there's one young lady from the gym was on 4th Avenue and 11th Street in Greenwich Village. She kept telling me, you need to come eat some sushi with me. And I'm like, I don't need no nasty sushi. And so one day she said, listen, this one is on me, right? I'm not looking for you to buy anything for me, but I want you to indoctrinate somebody else who hates it into it. I said, okay, bet. So we went, and I got this big platter that had a variety of fish. The Japanese restaurant. Couldn't tell you what the name of it is, and I'm quite sure it's probably not even in existence anymore. That was 42 years ago. So I went, I ate 3 pieces. The first one, I didn't like it. But I said, okay, there's gotta be something to this. By the time I hit the 3rd piece, it was like, oh my God, this is good. And I tried the rest of it, and I would say 85% of it was pretty good, but those few pieces, I knew I wanted to come back and get more. As a matter of fact, I came back the next day. I told her, I said, you want to come? No, just go on. I got something to do. Maybe next week. We weren't dating or anything. It's just that kind of thing. And that's like a New York thing, man. You can hang out with somebody of the opposite sex and nothing's going on. But I moved to different parts of the country. If you hold the door for a woman, I think they're doing something. I said, come on, man, it's not always like that. But that showed me about expansion. That showed me about, and I knew that from single digit ages from my parents. They exposed me to so much. And what I'm saying is that in the modern day, back to the beginning of this video when I spoke about the full range of our expression, that we need to embrace that and not worry about the preconceived categories that someone else who doesn't understand us or thinks we're subhuman or wants to project us to be subhuman, trash that. Don't even fear not making it. Be yourself. Nobody is like you on this planet. You're the only person like you made on this planet. Why are we trying to copy somebody else? Why are we trying to copy the styles of somebody else? I want to be the best version of me that I can be. My mannerisms, how I talk, my flaws, I must have flaws, right? I'm not saying I'm perfect, we all do. Embrace those, work on those. Perfect yourself, knowing you're not going to be perfect, but always try to be a better version of yourself than you were the day before. And tomorrow, you should be better. And you learn, you expand. Try to think from someone else's standpoint, from their perspective, what life must be, and you'll learn. Too many of us, we think only from where we stand. That's not, I'm not going to say it's not good. It's not good, but you're going to have a limited life if you can't understand another person's reality. And that will help to give you sympathy in their situation, good or bad. It doesn't mean you condone something that's bad, but you can say, okay, the man killed his next man because that man was in the bed with his wife, even though the wife let him on in, right? Temporary insanity, I can understand that. You still may have to do some time, but I understand where you're coming from. The man that goes into the supermarket and steals steak and food and shoves it down in his pants and pulls the belt tight and tries to get out, and he gets arrested, and the judge finds out that he had 7 kids at home that were hungry, right? And he lost his job. His wife was sick. Right? So we bend according to the circumstance, right? But in certain situations with us, we have no excuse. We procrastinate too much. We take time for granted. And I'm even speaking to myself. And people say, well, Lance, you do a whole lot of stuff. I'm not working at full capacity like I used to. Like with the whole social media stuff, I still do it, but I'm not killing myself. I'm going to be me. I put enough time in. A lot of the work was taken away. But you know what? Put out quality stuff, be yourself, and you're good. There's other areas I'm working on developing now that are probably more spectacular than anything I've ever done on social media, which I never thought it was a spectacular thing. I'm just a guy talking and doing it myself and sharing my perspectives and listening to other people, especially with the formal formats. But now a compliment was given. I won't say her name, and you know who you are. She said, it's better without all this other spirits and cussing and people, cash app. She said, it's you, it's what you do, your perspectives. And yes, we have Brother Neil Frazier, we have Malik Aziz, different people that will come on, but not just anybody come on in and, nah, I don't do that no more. You got to be special, right? And we missed a good conversation last night with a young lady who couldn't get on. And the sound in that video didn't come out anyway. It was a live show, but I recorded it afterward, put it up. And this one here is the same thing. I'm recording this one, I'm gonna put it on up. But yeah, I'm not gonna stay long. I'm gonna come back with more content tomorrow, more like this. I may do something outside and inside. And I have a few topics that I wanna really go in on, but this is a hangout. You know, welcome to the part of my studio you can see, but it's a little sizable. And I love these chats. And I love your responses, and I love the fact that you're coming away. I don't have to have 5 million followers because I'm not looking for followers. Follow me where? To the store? Follow me where? To go in the backyard and chop a few mangoes or whatever? You can follow me doing that, you know, but I'm not a person who is a, what do you call it? What's the word? It's too late right now for me to remember that word, but I'm not so stuck on myself and you must worship me and I am the one who's bringing this wisdom and I may know a few things, but you know what? I owe you a lot because I've learned more from you collectively than I think that I've shared of my experiences and what little bit I've learned in life. I've learned a lot. I've been corrected a lot. I've been guided a lot, you know, from the things that you shared with me, not just in the comments section, but conversations directly, you know, emails and text messages. So I appreciate you. You're helping me to become better. And that's how we need to use these platforms, to be human, to recognize where we need to work on in our personality, in our being, in our mind, to expand and to become a better version of ourselves than we were the day before, like I just said. Anyway, much love to you all. LanceScurv out. On to the next one. Thank you for being here and listening to my non-directional rant. It wasn't really a rant, though. I was just kind of spilling out before I go to bed. But take care. Salute to the brothers. Much love to the sisters. I appreciate you. Peace.
Bye.